Alright, and the game has loaded up. The first screen that comes up is this one. It gives us a list of the game options that are running. You know, basically everything we chose on the options screen there shows is in play. Some of the C2C, this depends on, you know, combat stuff later. We'll have that. And then you've got a list of all the special control keys that are in effect because of the mods and all that are running. The most important one to remember is Control-Shift-Q, which will bring this pop-up up. So anytime that we can't remember what we're doing, Control-Shift-Q. So we're going to go ahead and take that out of the way. As you see, we're Louis XIV, the leader of the Gnomish tribe, industrious and creative. No unique units. The unique buildings, we can build native culture human and native culture European at this point. As you see, the sun rises on the year 12,000 BC. Since time immemorial, the Gnomish people have lived a nomadic life. After years of wandering, they're ready to settle down and found your first city. Narlo, your people have vested absolute power in you, trusting that you can build a civilization to stand the test of time, which has always been the goal in civilization. Alright. It says this mod is awesome, just have fun. Alright, here we go. Quick view of the screen here. You see we're starting out in the prehistoric era. The other thing we got going on is, rather than, I think the regular game of Civilization has something like 2,000 turns perhaps. As you see here, we've got 14,550. And we start out in the year 12,000. So we actually have more turns than we actually have, well, no, I guess it's actually a turn a year, because 12,000 BC and the game will go up until like 2,000 or 3,000 AD. So it's almost a turn a year. Going to be a long, long game. Alright, we got a field of view that we can zoom in and out of. We can do that with our mouse key as well. Okay, let's see what we got going on. Right here, we have the prehistoric version of a scout. It is a wanderer. Of course, since you haven't got an actual civilization going on, or any sort of technology or culture or leadership or anything like that, it's pretty much just somebody that's a wanderer. It's someone that wanders out and decides to go out and explore on his own. Our other units are over here. This is going to be a clubman, and also our band. De quoi avez-vous besoin? The band is what we use for the settlers here in the prehistoric times. This is the band of Homo sapiens sapiens who is going to be settling and founding our first village. Let's go back to the wanderer here. Let's move up to the top of the hill. Alright, that didn't open up a lot of territory for us. One thing I am going to do is turn on the resource display. So that will allow us to see if we got any special resources in sight. Right now there's not any. We're going to grab our clubman. It's kind of the prehistoric version of the warrior. Move him up the hill. Okay, any resources? If I got that turned on or off? Ah, I had it turned off, so now it's back on. Over here you will see we've got mangoes. And that is revealed when you got gathering. There's an awful lot of new resources in this game. Mangoes is just one of them. I think there's, if I remember correctly, looking at the first page of where you download this from, is like 100 new resources that have been added. Mangoes is one of them, as you see, revealed by gathering. I'm assuming that means that we will be able to gather it when we create the proper worker. Also notice right here, this hill's got coconut palms on it, as you see. It's not showing up as a resource yet, which means that we must need to perhaps use some kind of technology, because I think coconuts are one of the resources in the game, so there must be a technology we need to research in order to be able to use it. Okay, let's look here. Let's go to our band, our Homo sapiens sapiens, and let's see where we're going to build. It's not the greatest of starting locations. The game is recommending we start there. that's a decent area. It's on the coast and all. The problem is you do that. I'll cut the grid on for a second. You do that and your initial starting grid will be right here, and you'll get those ocean squares. That's good. But even whenever your culture pops, you're not going to get the mangoes, and I'd like to get those mangoes into my city territory, into my cultural boundary as soon as possible. Which means I would have to move on to this hill. And that's unfortunately going to use, that hill would be a good place to like put a mine or something. So we're really kind of in a rock and a hard place here. We'll get this hill once our boundaries pop. So, and there's a hill here. So yeah, it's going to burn up a turn. It's going to burn an entire turn to get there. Yeah. I hate doing that. I hate not settling on the first turn, but you know, we've got 14,000 and something turns to go. It's not quite as vital as it would be if we were playing at like one of the higher, harder levels, or if we were playing against human opponents. So, can we do research? That's the other thing we need to do. Take a look at research. All right. So as you see here, we have the nomadic lifestyle already, and that gives us a wanderer. It lets us build culture if we were a member of the Sioux, which we're not. We can build a sentry. We can do guerrilla 2. These are our updates: sentry, guerrilla 2, and woodsman with nomadic. We also know gathering. So we've got a gatherer, which, as you can see, can build all these different things here. It reveals the corn, the mangoes, the sugar, etc. We can train a gatherer. We can build the storage pit, berry trees, berry bushes, root tubers, etc. We can do a storage pit. We can do berry bushes, root tubers. These are the buildings. Instead of building granaries and barracks and walls, we're building storage pits, berry bushes, root tubers, wild mushrooms. I don't know who the first to discover it was, because we've already got it. We can gather grains, and we can gather grains. So, where to next? Let's learn language, shall we? Because otherwise, we're just going to be grunting and pointing. So that's what we'll work on next, is language. Let's exit out of there. And let's end our first turn. Okay. I am going to create our first city.
Nous y travaillons.
We'll call it Paris. I'm going to go ahead, even though I'm playing the gnomes and not the French, I will go ahead and just use the French names rather than coming up a whole bunch on my own. So there is Paris. And Paris is going to build a, what do we have? Stone thrower or another wanderer. 24 turns to get a wanderer. Why don't we go with culture? Like I said, I like building. I like going for the culture. Culture victories, and that will also allow us to start getting the borders expanded. As you see here, we've got that horrible funk coming up from where we are, and we've got a sick face. Let's take a look at the city. You see here we got plus six unhealthiness from our civics. So we've got a very unhealthy place here. And we'll take a look at our civics right quick, and you'll see that the civics have expanded quite a bit too. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different civics across here that you get to choose from, as opposed to the original 5, I believe, which is in Civilization 4. Our government is anarchy, and that has already given us 3 unhappiness in all our cities. So fortunately, we've only got the 3 unhappiness right now. We'll definitely, before we start expanding, we'll have to come up with a new form of government. Power, we're ruling by a junta. Gives us good military production and everything. It's actually not that terrible. Gives us happiness from walls and everything. But it does increase the rebelliousness of our people. Because being a junta, they don't really consider us a legitimate government. Our society is primitive. That right there gives us two sickness in all our cities. Means that it takes a lot of materials to grow. We need a lot of food, 75% more than normal, and we lose a lot of money because of primitive society. Our economy is communalism, which means we don't have any kind of sense of property or wealth. We think everything belongs to everybody. That gives us another 2 sickness. No foreign trade routes, and -1 gold from any of the expansions we can build. So once again, we have got to start researching some stuff. Military is banditry. Now we increases our maintenance cost, but it does let us build a bandit's hideout, which is good because it allows us to build a bandit unit, which is kind of like an early form of spy. Religion, we have irreligious. We have no state religion. It's -25 culture in all cities, so we need to get something, some kind of religion going so we can boost that culture up. Right now we have no form of religion, no kind of spirituality. Our welfare is simply a survival. That's the only thing we can think about is individual survival. It does increase our military. It lets us get more happiness from like Stonehenge, the Oracle, and everything. But once again, increases our rebelliousness. Garbage. Garbage is one of the new civics that's in the Caveman2Cosmos. Garbage anywhere, we just toss it on the ground. That increases our 2 unhealthiness. There's where our 6 unhealthiness just from our civics comes from. And once again, causes us to use more food because garbage anywhere means lots more spoilage, which means we need yet more food in order to grow larger. Immigration, it's no kind of borders or anything. Education, we are ignorant, and as it says, blissful wallowing. Ignorance is bliss. Language, we speak in grunts and gestures, and we will until we develop a native language. And then we have no kind of agriculture, which requires even more food to grow. So as you see, we have to get some technologies going here so that we can expand our empire and just get us to the fact that our tribe here can actually grow. Because as you see, we are stagnant and developing 2 hammers per turn. Let's see, which ones are we developing? Looks like we are developing food and money. Are we going to build native culture? Whew, like I said, we are not in a great space. Can we go there? That'll be stagnant, and we'll have 9 turns, opposed to 14 turns. 7 turns. 4 minus 6 is -2. I'm afraid 6 is 6. I'm afraid if we go any lower than that, we'll actually start losing population. But then again, I don't think you can starve yourself to nothing. So all the choices are going to give us a stagnant growth rate. So why don't we try and get that culture pumped out as quickly as possible? So I don't think you can actually starve your initial city to make it disappear. I think it has to always have a 1 population. And if not, we'll find out here shortly, won't we? Let's take our wanderer, and we are going to go up here and see what's in that space. Nothing. Okay. And our warrior, not our warrior, our clubman, I don't want him to go too far away. Just in case we were to run into anything and someone try and take our tribe away from us. Oh, such cute little huts. But we do need to explore the terrain and see what's going on around us. So that's going to be the end of our first turn here. Boom. And we'll see what's awaiting for us here in our next turn.